Now in this slide we are going to study how to name a carbon compound or nomenclature of carbon compounds. Here are some few steps that you have to follow in order to name a particular carbon compound. So the first step is to identify the number of carbon atoms. Suppose if a carbon atom or a carbon compound has one carbon atom, then you start the naming of that compound as myth. Okay, so this is just a part of the name of that particular compound. So if it is having one carbon, myth, two carbon, eth, three carbon, prop, four carbon, but, five carbon, pent, six carbon, hex. Okay, so these are a part of a name. So depending on the number of carbon atoms present in hydrocarbon, you will start the naming by one of these names. Then you have to see whether a particular hydrocarbon is having single bond, double bond or triple bond. So even if there is a hydrocarbon that is having one double bond at any place, it doesn't mean that everywhere there should be double bond. Okay, so even if a hydrocarbon is having one double bond at any place, it comes under this category. If it has at least one triple bond, then it comes under this category. So if a hydrocarbon is of alkane group, that is purely having single bonds, then the next part of the name soon after following these names will be ane. If the hydrocarbon is having single bond, then the second part of the name becomes ane. If it is having double bond like this, double bond, the name will be ene. And if it is having triple bond, then the continuation of the name will be in terms of ine. For example, for a hydrocarbon having one carbon and with single bond, it will be meth plus ane, that is methane. Now methane, that a hydrocarbon having one carbon won't have double bond or triple bond, because for double and triple bond there has to be minimum two carbons. So over here, if a hydrocarbon is having two carbon atoms with double bond, then the name will be eth plus ene, that is ethene. If the same two carbon atom hydrocarbon is having triple bond, then the name will be eth plus ine, ethyne. Okay, eth plus ine, ethyne. So this is how the name goes on. So we'll see what if there is a functional group and how to name it. So see, if there is a functional group, indicate it with the name of the compound at either prefix. Prefix means starting part of the name, and suffix means ending part of the name. Okay, so here are some suffixes. Means after meth, after putting these names as meth or eth or propanol, you complete the name by putting one of these depending on what kind of functional groups are attached to that particular hydrocarbon. Now if you look in prefix column, there is only one functional group that comes as the first part of the name. So we'll see them one by one. So we have already seen, if there is double bond, then the suffix becomes ene, triple bond, that is alkyne, ine. If the compound has alcohol group, that is OH group, then the suffix will be ol, that is if it is a methane group with OH functional group in it, I will call it as methanol. Suppose if the hydrocarbon has aldehyde group, then the suffix will be al. like methanol, ethanol, propanol. For if it was alcohol, then it will be methanol, ethanol. So this is the difference. If the hydrocarbon is having ketone group, then the name will be ending with ONE, that is on. You don't call it as one. So for example, it will be propanon, butanon. Okay, like for example, you have a name as propane. Okay, so if a hydrocarbon is having three carbon atom, so basically it would be propane. But because of ketone group, in place of that E letter of the word propane ending letter E, you will just replace that E letter by this word, that will be propanol. So it goes, we'll discuss in the next slide again. So if the hydrocarbon is having carboxylic acid group, that is COOH, the ending part of the name will be oic acid, means methanoic acid or ethanoic acid, propanoic acid. So all these suffixes that you see will be related to this whatever functional group is present over here to the hydrocarbon atom. We will try to see how to name few compounds looking at the functional groups that are present. Now over here the functional group is related to alkene, that is all single bond. So the naming will be related to the number of carbon atom plus hydrogen. Like for example C2H6, since it has two carbon, so the name will start by eth, and since this compound has single bonds all over, so the name will be ethane. If the compound has again two carbon over here, that is C2H4 with a double bond in between, the name will be eth plus in, ethene. If the compound has like this over here, CH3, CH2, Cl, means count the number of carbon. Here the number of carbons are 2, so it will be eth. Since everywhere there is single bond present over here, so it will be ethane. Now we had seen in the previous slide that whenever there is halogen group, that is chlorine or bromine, it comes as a prefix. Okay, so in naming we write the name of that functional group as the first part of the name, that is chloro. If there was Br, it would be bromo. So here it is chlorine, so it is chloroethane. Now over here the next group related to alcohol. So here you can see the alcohol group, OH group. Since the number of carbon atom is 2, so first of all we'll have to name that. There is only single bond that is present over here in this alkyl group, so it is ethane. Either you could call by prefixing as hydroxy. Okay, this name is also okay, but we'll go by this name like the way we have seen in the previous slide. So since this is alcohol group, the name will end by these two letters, all, ethanol. For ethers we have seen that there will be oxygen atom in between, and towards left and right there will be alkyl group. So over here there is oxygen in between. Here the alkyl group is related to one carbon, that is methyl group. Methyl means it is one hydrogen atom less of methane. So here you will see it is methyl. So even this is methyl. So the naming will be somewhat a bit different for ethers. Here the naming will be like this, methoxymethene. Now this I won't teach all in detail because this is not important. Ethers are not important for you all. I'll just move on to the next functional group, that is aldehyde. Here if you can see this example, here the functional group is CHO. So in total, including the carbon present in aldehyde group, you have to count now. Now for all the above cases there was no carbon present in functional group, so there wasn't a problem. Now from here onwards you have to count the carbon that is present in the functional group itself. So including that carbon, total number of carbon atoms are 2. So the name will start by eth. So the name will start by eth. Hence the name will be eth. Because of aldehyde group it will be ethane null. Now the next one, if you look over here, there is a functional group that is ketone, CO, and to the left there is methyl group. Again towards the right there is a methyl group. So in total, counting the carbon that is present as a functional group over here, that is ketone, there are 3 carbons, 1, 2, 3. So the name will be prop. Because of ketone it will be propane non. I have already told you how to name. You have to consider propane name, and just in place of that last letter E you have to substitute or put that name as ONE, so it will be propanol. Now in this, here the functional group is COOH, that is of carboxylic acid. Total number of carbon is 2, so it will be ethanoic acid. So that these are the names that is getting added extra. So here it is oic acid. So it is ethanoic acid. Ethanoic acid. And there are some extra compounds over here. Over here, this is not so important, so I won't discuss this for now.